Hello, how you doing? I'm Dale. I'm the librarian for Comms Social Work Sociology, and I'm delighted to help you. What I do, especially since the pandemic started, is I just will make videos, and then we can go back and forth. So this isn't like a end all, but this is kind of like a conversation, and it's convenient in the summer too, so we don't have to necessarily meet at the same campus. So for what it's worth, I wanted to show you how I would approach this. Everything is de-identified. We have a strict privacy policy, so nothing in here will point to you. But I wanted to show you, start out with a quote that I just found in the New York Times last week. But it talks about the problems of like why everyone's polarized these days. And there's a political scientist at Stanford, New York Times. So if you want to pause and read this, it may help with some of why amplifying voices is a good thing to do, and there's a great opportunity to do so. But it also will give like kind of the con, if you needed some of that for the assignment, of like some of the things that do happen when marginalized voices are amplified, for better or for worse. There's a lot going on with the January 6th thing. Like, how did this happen? But I think there's reasonable ways of doing it. So I won't go into that, but it's a fun quote to read. I hadn't looked at it this way. Okay, so I was looking at. Um, I I always have to look up the definition of autoethnography to see what's going on, and I think I get it, but I just put the definition there. Um, but when you're looking in the scholarship, there's about 2 million things published every year. That's before pandemic. Maybe there's a lot more now. But you try and break it down. If there's 2 million things going on, authors will give the title to their article using very specific language and words where they're hoping that their things get discovered. So I'm going to walk you through 4 different ways to discover those things that you're interested in and how to record, if you find a good word, how to record that so you can find more of those things. Because oftentimes scholars are working on the same thing that you're working on. And maybe they describe it in a particular way. Like underrepresented, that was like an amazing keyword. So I don't think you're going to have problems with this. But as you do your research, write down what worked and what didn't. And I was just throwing down keywords here. So first place I'm going to show you is the open web. When you go out to the open web, if you do a search in Google, it looks at the cookies, it looks at your history, it looks at the physical location, or at least the physical location of your Wi-Fi service, and it kind of pre-sorts the results, and you kind of get. It's meant to be like a smart search, but it ends up being an obfuscated kind of smoke and mirrors kind of a search. How to get around that is you can specifically dive into a context, and you can force the context. And I think this is an advanced search thing, but if your context is specifically journalism, if you put a colon and then you put in, let's see if you put in a keyword after that, this is not the same as putting in journalism underrepresented, but this is like saying, okay, Google, I only want to look in the context of things that are journalism. So this might be scholarship, might be action groups, might be actual journalists. And then I want to look in the context of journalism with underrepresented. So you could do journalism underrepresented. So this is where we're looking for those keywords. And here's where I found diverse voices. I found media, minorities. I didn't think of journalism. I didn't think of media. Journalism and media are different. And these are not scholarly, but this is where we're doing our kind of our groundwork, our background stuff. Communities is a big one. Looks like underrepresented is just like the amazing one. But you can put in journalism, diversity, and you get a completely different set. And then newsroom. So depending on the kind of journalism you're interested in, You could go into a specific media. So it could be online streaming news, could be television news, it could be newspaper, it could be whatever. Oh, that's cool. Oh, diversity. So diversity has like criteria. Inclusion. Oh, and here we start to see some more scholarship. So journalism, diversity. I like the idea of voices because it gets into the sociological term of own voice. Is that sociology? An own voice is where groups are not represented by people going on and saying, oh, what are you doing? It's people saying, this is us, this is what we're doing, if that makes sense. Oh, look at that. Okay, so you get the idea. Gather keywords. I didn't think of indigenous voices. Also depends on the population you're working with, too. So, names, not population. Women of color, indigenous. You'll have the opportunity to look for specific populations, named self-identified populations, as well as people of color or minorities or underrepresented. Those are keywords that you can use. Okay, that's how you do contextual searching. And I would say these are good because you'll find things that are already packed together in that context of underrepresented voices versus like little case studies here and there, kind of a mishmash. This is more on your topic. Second thing that I want to show you, library catalog. You can use this at your current school or the university. You may have both to look into. For this one, with your network ID, you'd have to do this off-campus access for full text. But for the library catalog, you can look up books, articles, book chapters are indexed. There's also a lot of films, microfilm and VHS and streaming and a whole mess of stuff. So let's go, instead of just jumping in here, let's go to advanced search. So we have some keywords now. Catalog is slow at our library because it pulls from a whole bunch of different databases. It doesn't search everything, but it's got a lot of different disciplines and fields of study and publishers that it's aggregating together. So in the advanced search, you can say, well, I only want to find articles, or I only want to find books or book chapters. I'm going to search for everything, but I'm going to separate my keywords. Journalism. Are there any synonyms or related terms for journalism that you want to use? Are you interested in newspapers? This might be the place where you would do or journalism or news. I'm going to keep journalism there, but any synonym that you had, just do an or and then the name of that. So for example, underrepresented or diverse or oh yeah, minorities. What if I want to get minorities or minority? If you put a star after it, it'll get both. So this will get minority, minorities. And you can keep on adding new lines, and you can do a date range. So let's say we only want the last 2 years because they've been wildly exciting, but you can go back to any date range that you want. Catalog is going to, again, it's not searching everything, but it's going to grab a bunch of different things to look at. Ooh, citizen media. I didn't think about that one. Have you heard of citizen media? That one's definitely the own voice, where people are representing themselves in media. Okay, so here's the problem that you have to deal with. is even when we narrowed it down to all of these different things and we were only in the last 2 years, there is tons and tons of stuff, like 28,000 results. How do you get through that? I would say rationally calm yourself down. This is a real thing in research where you get an overwhelming amount. Have a nice beverage that you like, and slowly go through, read titles, sort by articles. You can go straight to scholarly articles if you want to, or you can go straight to book chapters. So let me show you. If you just click on one of these, it'll say, do you want to sort this way? Well, it doesn't ask me if I want to sort, it just goes right in. But go through and look for things that strike a chord with you. And these are scholarly articles. Peer reviewed just means that the scholarship is such a high level that there are other people in that field of communication, sociology, community studies, whatever, and they're checking up on each other's work. So there's underrepresented, there's community, nonprofit, novelty news. I wonder if that's like TikTok. It gets really, 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 really tight and focused. So here's the name of a specific population. So if you wanted to, I think you could safely go into specific populations. Specific populations might be demographics like ancestry, might be physical location, people of the Southwest, might be socioeconomic, people who are very wealthy, people who are middle class, people who are poor, people who are homeless. There's all sorts of different ways of describing populations, and each of those you could look for in keywords. Let me go back and show you. Can I go back? Oh, active filters right here. Let's get rid of peer review journals. You might find that you're better off with books, because books are going to have like an overall view and might have that structure that you need. Like here's a journalism handbook. But let's say I only want to look at books. There's only 424. I think my dates got expanded beyond the last 2 years. So if you wanted like a big picture before you got into scholarly articles, this might be pretty good. So here's a case study where they went to Nigeria. Africa, India, other places in the world have been revolutionized by smartphones, where people can generate their own media instead of having a state-controlled media. All sorts of good stuff. So books, how do you get into a book? A lot of them are ebooks these days, so you don't have to come up to campus. I would say for this assignment, do everything you can online, and if you can't get a hold of something, just send me an email. So here's the book right here. And you just click on each chapter. Ooh, dominant crisis narratives, indigenous journalisms. This is really good. Cut yourself some slack. Since there's so much stuff, it's okay to pick something that you think is good and then realize that there's a lot going on. Look at all this other stuff. Race, gender, colonialism, journalist objectivity. Look at all that great stuff. Okay, catalog, there's a lot to dig around in, and you could stop there, but I'll show you 2 more places that you can also go into. None of these are the right place or the wrong place to go, since there's so much stuff written on this. I'd say if you find something that's perfect for you, you're good to go. But in databases, some of these are collected into the catalog, some of them are not. There's 2 that I recommend. One is under E. You can go by subject, by the way, and go into COM. Communication, mass media complete. If you do that same advanced keyword search that we did in the catalog, you should find a ton of stuff. But instead of looking at everything under the sun. This is only going to be media, rhetoric, and things like that. So if you want to look at political science, go in and look for a political science database. But this one's pretty good for the high-level scholarship. There's another one that is under the letter E, and this might be pretty good too. It's called Ethnic News Watch. And this was, I'm going to scroll down. This is one that was put together to amplify underrepresented voices. And it was just kind of like newspapers and magazines that they were gathering together. But now it's turned into a scholarly database that has peer-reviewed scholarly articles as well. So if you do underrepresented, oh no, does it just look for that? If you don't want to do the advanced search, just stick an and in between your keywords. But this has an advanced search right here. Underrepresented in journalism. This is a curated database where they're defining, and they have a set of criteria for what ethnicity is and how it could be represented. So it's a good catch-all for topics like this. So here, again, here's another population. DACA and Dreamers. Oh, here's a specific one. Israel. Black Voices. Specific publications. But let's go into scholarly journals only, because this does have newspaper examples. And you can see scholarly journal, scholarly journal. The use of Twitter to defend DACA and Dreamers from May 2022. So this article is hot off the press. Did you see how I got into the full text? If you ever run stuck and you can't get full text for something, send me the citation and I'll track it down for you. What you're looking for, if you need just like 1 or 2 or 3 scholarly articles, go into what's called the abstract. That's just the first little bit of an article that is searchable in a lot of the databases. And they will make, the author or authors will make the point very, very quickly about what the most important is. So right here, they did analysis of tweets and they centered on call to action. And they talked about qualitative assessment, like the tone of them. And they're explaining the movement strength. Very simple. They're going to come to the point very quickly, and then they use the rest of the article to talk about it. That's really cool. Okay. This is why I'm a librarian. I'm just like, I can't help but read stuff. Let me know how it goes. And if you run stuck, or if you find that you want to go a different direction, or if you just want me to look at something that you've written, I'm happy to do all of those things. It's summertime, and I'm happy to help out with anything. And as you get to the university, you should know that transfer students go under extra stresses, and they have things going on that make life more difficult. We do have transfer student services all over campus. So if you go to research guides, we have a student a few years ago that put one together. If you just do transfer student, or maybe SLCC, there's a guide. Oh, this is painfully slow. Transfer student. There's places all over campus to help you overcome those challenges. Oh yeah, here we go. So there's resources. It's probably a little bit out of date, but you can see programs and courses that are at the community college to support you, and there's programs and courses at the University of Utah. And you might, I don't know if comms is called the Transfer Interest Group anymore. I don't think it is. But at any rate, I'm your librarian, and I'm here to help you out throughout your academic career, so happy to help.